Last time on Shadow Piece, Hakuba continued his confrontation against Devon, the nine-tailed fox. He was managing it the best way possible for him, but in her full Zoan form, she was a true menace. Katarina's regeneration powers made it impossible to simply cut her down, and her destructive capabilities were too much to handle continuously, even for the monster inhabiting Cavendish's body. So instead of brute forcing it, Hakuba switched to a more strategic approach, dodging all the attacks and sprinting towards the coast. Once there, he once again used his superior speed to overwhelm the gigantic yokai, pushing her over the edge into a free fall into the ocean. But that would have been too simple of a solution, as the Titanic captain casually jumped across the air to gracefully land back on the ground. Murun fu 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 fu. So that was your desperate plan to win against my strongest form? Pathetic. The only female commander of the Blackbeard Pirates mocked the sin of lust for a strategy, as they stood in front of each other again, ready for yet another exchange of attacks. Even in this situation, the second personality of the pirate prince didn't look worried. The twisted smile remained on his face as he dashed closer to the QB. Meanwhile, in the other realm, Cavendish was floating in the ocean, staring at the sky, still thinking about how to get out of this place. The reason why he was in the ocean and Hachinosu was nowhere to be seen was simple: he destroyed the entire island. He assumed that somewhere some sort of catalyst must exist that would allow him to return, but that didn't turn out to be true. His beautiful face was forced to show wrinkles as he was thinking strongly about what to do next. The prince knew that his body was semi-safe in the hands of Hakuba, but the thought of what if he didn't return to the real world even if the monster defeated the ugly woman, well, that concerned him. He stood up, his feet balancing on the water. This was a trick he came up with in the short time he spent in this place, increasing his ego even more. With extremely delicate and beautiful haki control, he managed to walk on water. As cocky as he was certain that he was the first person to ever do this in the world. Otherwise, devil fruit users wouldn't fear the ocean after all. He walked and walked until he reached another island. As he wasn't a navigator, he had no idea what this place was. But that didn't matter. It was empty anyways. Every building, every corner of every town. Not a soul to be seen, not a noise to be heard. Pure power didn't solve his problem, so now he had to combine brawn and brain. Gracefully taking the Randall out of its sheath, he started to execute a new plan. First, he went outside the village he found, and with one slash took down the entire forest in front of him. Cutting wood wasn't a problem. Next, Cavendish went to a mountain he saw in the distance. Once there, he took a deep breath and unleashed a singular horizontal slash. This time, he made the entire mountain disappear, but he wasn't satisfied. A swordsman needs to be able to cut anything and everything. Going from his own experiences as a prince, the man walked to what was clearly the house of the richest person living on this island. It didn't matter if it was just someone with a lot of money or some sort of royal, but he knew what these mansions always had to keep their inhabitants safe. A wave of haki left his body, and for the first time since what felt forever, he heard something besides his own movements and destruction. An alarm sounded in response to the dangerous haki released by him. What comes after stone? Metal. Cavendish planned to work his way through the materials until he could cut everything. After metal, it would have been diamond and then sea stone, but the emergency barriers surrounding the high-class building wasn't what he expected. A blue material started to rise from the ground. It looked metallic in a way, but then he saw writing on them and realized what it actually was. Whoever the maniac was that lived here in the real world collected poneglyphs and turned them into a protective shield for their home. Simply having seen one of those ancient rocks could lead to their execution, but this person gathered enough of them to surround their entire mansion with them. This was the safest house in the entire world, if you simply think about forceful entry, but obviously there were other ways to ignore the indestructibility of the poneglyphs. However, all that didn't matter to Cavendish in the moment. His plan skipped a few steps and had reached a level he hadn't even considered. In all of recorded history, there was no word of anyone being able to cut through these mysterious rocks. Another first for the most beautiful pirate to take. With confidence, he took his stance. Haki flowed through his body straight into his sword. The Randall was a Meito of the second highest ranking, a great blade, also called Owazamono. Only 21 weapons of this rank existed in the world. The shine of the blade got covered by the darkness of Haki. Cavendish put layer upon layer onto his partner, before taking another big breath to prepare himself mentally. And then it came. A slash far surpassing what he did to cut the forest or the mountain. The sheer force of the swing threw up an incredible amount of dust and dirt, blocking the view for a moment. Cavendish put his trusted blade back into its sheath, his breathing unsteady after the maximum effort attack he had just used. Shortly later, the dust settled down, but much to the surprise of Cavendish, there wasn't even a single scratch on the stone. In one rapid motion, he pulled out the Randall again and unleashed a barrage of slices, and yet not a single one left a mark on the poneglyph. His ego may have been damaged by the results, but as a swordsman, his heartbeat entered an excited rhythm. No matter how often he tried, the results didn't change in the slightest. Going until he was completely exhausted in a simple-minded repetitive action, he couldn't help himself but laugh. Right now, he was in two wars, one being the attack against the Blackbeard pirates and the other being a war against himself to surpass every other swordsfighter. This continued for a while, attacking the poneglyph with all kinds of techniques and styles, until he wasn't able to move anymore, and then recover. The simplicity of all this reminded the pirate prince of his past, which quickly soured his mood. Fuck. It really is obvious, but I barely managed to cooperate with him since the battle against the Strawhat Pirates. Whatever, not like I have a different idea anyways. Reluctantly, Cavendish stood up, putting the Randall into its sheath for a final time. Like a lover leaving behind a partner, he put his hand on the poneglyph wall and said, "I will be back, next time in the real world." At his top speed, he rushed back to the place he came from, the destroyed Hachinosu. Maybe this was unnecessary, but he didn't know what would happen if he was too far away from where his body was in the real world. This place is real. My feelings are real. In the past, that cannot be changed anymore. You are me, and I am you. Almost like a mantra, the blonde warrior was talking to himself as if he was forcing himself to accept something. You are dead, while I should be dead, so let's end this whole thing. The Randall shifted by itself in its sheath, as if it reacted to the words of its owner. Don't worry, partner. Our journey is not over. It is, however, only starting for real now. The Sin of Lust pulled out the Mato, and with no hesitation pierced himself into his heart. He coughed up blood as he fell to the ground, and pushed his blade deeper into his own body. This is so warm. There he laid, in a pool of his own blood. While this happened, Hakuba in the real world grasped his chest and pain, halting for a single moment, enough of a pause to get caught in a combo of all 9 tails of the monstrous Titanic captain. Not even mentioning the pain he felt, he got launched across the battlefield and got buried under rubble. There was no movement anymore, but Devon was a cautious woman, so she started charging another fox bomb, going over the limit of what she can control just to make sure that Cavendish, or Hakuba in this case, would get completely eradicated. The massive ball was flying through the air as a shadow sprinted past it. This is not where your story is supposed to end, but I would have loved to see you reach your goals, and also find peace with yourself. You were a horrible captain. Heavily injured, Suleiman reached his leader, and with a mix of annoyance, respect, and love, he threw Cavendish, who wasn't reacting at all, out of the danger zone. Then the fox bomb connected, erasing everything it came in contact with in a matter of seconds. The 9-tailed fox was a monster, far surpassing whatever they could have imagined they would face in this war. And this is the end of today's episode of Shadow Piece. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to future episodes. Yes, this is a very critical moment. Cavendish took a big step in developing his character. Cavendish took a step to accept himself. And also, some other things happened. Yeah, rest in peace. I'm not fake-outing this. This is real. So, I hope we can remember Suleiman as a great subordinate and a great supporter. But for now, that's all from me for today. Always like to be said, stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro, out. Bye.